Buy the wrong Intel chipset, and your unlocked CPU stays locked. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one your CPU actually needs, and where Intel does this completely differently from AMD. What does the chipset actually do? First, one thing needs to be clear. The chipset is not the whole motherboard. The CPU itself handles your graphics card connection and the primary NVMe slot directly. The chipset, connected to the CPU over what Intel calls the DMI link, adds everything else. Extra PCIe lanes, extra USB, SATA, additional M2 slots. So a locked, non-K core Ultra chip performs basically the same whether it's sitting on the cheapest board or the most expensive one. The chipset isn't holding back your frame rate. It's deciding what you can plug in, and, for Intel specifically, whether you're even allowed to overclock at all. H series. H is Intel's floor. On the current Core Ultra 200 platform, that's H810. If you're still running Core i5, i7, or i9 from the last couple of generations, the equivalent was H610. DDR5 works, basic connectivity works, your GPU still gets a full PCIe 5 link straight from the CPU. What you don't get, any overclocking whatsoever. Not the CPU, not even memory. H810 skips XMP entirely, so your fast RAM kit runs at its slow default speed unless you manually tune timings yourself. This tier makes sense for office builds, HTPCs, or anyone running a locked, non-K CPU with no interest in tuning anything. Pair it with a K-series chip, and you're not losing raw performance at stock. You're just permanently leaving that chip's headroom on the table. Worth flagging here, AMD's cheapest board, A620, still supports Expo memory overclocking out of the box. Intel's cheapest tier doesn't extend that same courtesy. H810 draws the line earlier than AMD does. B series. B860 is where most builds land, the direct successor to B760 and B660 on the previous platform. You get a full PCIe 5 graphics slot, one PCIe 5 VM2 for your primary drive, and, unlike H810, proper memory overclocking with XMP support. What's still off the table is CPU overclocking. Multiplier, voltage, base clock, none of it works here, no matter how unlocked your K-series chip claims to be. This is the tier where Intel and AMD genuinely part ways in philosophy. On AMD's B650 or B850, a K-equivalent gaming CPU can still push PBO and curve optimizer tuning for extra performance. On Intel's B860, a K-series CPU behaves exactly like its locked, cheaper sibling, because the chipset itself refuses to let core clocks move. So the question to ask with Intel isn't, is my CPU unlocked? It's, did I buy a board that's actually allowed to unlock it? For a Core Ultra 5 or 7, or a locked Core i5 or i7 on the older platform, B series is usually the sensible default. Fast memory, solid connectivity, no wasted spend on overclocking you can't use anyway. Q series. Q870 sits between B860 and Z890 on paper, but it's not really a performance step at all. No CPU overclocking here either, same restriction as B860. What Q870 adds instead is Intel vPro Enterprise eligibility and Intel standard manageability, remote IT administration, fleet management, the stuff an office running hundreds of identical desktops actually needs. You'll rarely see this chipset on a shelf next to gaming boards because it isn't built for gamers. It's built for IT departments. AMD simply doesn't have a clean equivalent here. Its chipset stack is built almost entirely around gaming and workstation use, not corporate fleet management. If you're not deploying machines for a business, you can skip this entire tier without missing anything. Z series. Z890 is the sole chipset in this entire lineup that unlocks full CPU overclocking, multiplier, base clock, and memory, all three. It also carries the most connectivity of the mainstream tiers, the deepest PCIe 5 allocation, the most USB 4 and Thunderbolt 4 headroom, and generally the strongest VRMs, since board makers know overclockers are the ones buying it. Here's the part worth repeating loudly. Buying Z890 for a locked CPU changes nothing about how fast that CPU runs. The chip has to be a K-series part for any of this overclocking capability to actually apply. Z890 is a key. It does nothing without a lock that fits it. For a K-series Core Ultra 7 or 9, where you actually plan to tune power limits or push memory further, Z890 earns its price. For a locked chip, or a K chip you'll run at stock anyway, you're paying for a door you're never going to open. W series. W880 looks like Z890's professional twin. Similar connectivity, similar PCIe budget. The difference is the same trade Q870 makes. Memory overclocking survives, CPU overclocking doesn't. But W880 adds full ECC memory support and the same manageability features as Q870, aimed at workstations rather than office fleets. Now, the detail that trips people up. W880 is not a Xeon chipset. It uses the exact same 1851 socket and the exact same Core Ultra 200 desktop CPUs as every other board on this list. It's simply the I need ECC and remote manageability version of the same consumer platform. Real Xeon lives somewhere else entirely, a chipset called W890, paired with actual Xeon 6 Granite Rapids workstation CPUs on a completely different socket, LGA 4710. That platform runs 4 memory channels instead of 2, supports terabytes of RDIMM memory, and offers well over 100 PCIe lanes, genuinely built to go head-to-head with AMD's Threadripper Pro on WRX90. So the honest answer is, Intel does have a direct answer to WRX90. You just won't find it next to gaming motherboards. W890 boards are built almost exclusively for OEM workstation vendors and enterprise buyers, not retail shelves, while a Threadripper Pro board is something an ambitious builder can actually order and put together at home. What the chipset name doesn't tell you, worth repeating on any platform. The chipset name won't tell you VRM quality, heatsink size, which Wi-Fi generation is on board, how many M2 slots the board maker actually fitted, or how good the BIOS experience is. A well-built B860 board can beat a mediocre Z890 as an actual product. The letter is a feature floor, not a quality guarantee. One more thing coming. Quick heads up, since this platform won't be the newest option for long. Intel's next socket, LGA 1954, is expected to arrive with the Nova Lake generation later this year, reportedly bringing a new 900 series stack. Names like B960, Z970, Z990, Q970, and W980 have shown up in early leaks. Treat that as a rumor for now, not a spec sheet. Nothing's official yet. But if you're buying today purely to future-proof against a socket change, know that one's already on the horizon. So, which one should you buy? Start with the CPU. Running a locked Core Ultra 5 or an older locked Core i5 or i7, H-series covers it. Just don't expect XMP to work. Want fast memory and solid connectivity without paying for overclocking headroom you won't use? B-series, B860 now, B760 if you're still on the older platform, is the sensible default for most builds. Deploying machines for an office instead of building a gaming rig, Q-series exists specifically for that, and you'll likely never shop for it yourself. IT departments buy pre-built systems with it already inside. Bought a K-series chip specifically to push it further? Z-series is the only door that opens. Anywhere else, that K is just a letter on the box. Need ECC memory and remote manageability for a real workstation? W-series covers it. The rule holds across both brands. Don't buy a chipset for the CPU tier printed on the box. Buy it for what your build actually needs it to unlock. So, locked or unlocked, which chipset ended up under your build? And did the K in your CPU's name actually get used? Or is it just sitting there? Tell me in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, drop a like and subscribe for more hardware breakdowns.